This week's episode of 86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link before you do your shopping. In the year of our great reptilian overlord, 2016.
New situation. It's important to evaluate whether you're getting settled in or whether you're settling for. I personally pride myself a little bit on feeling like I've never really settled for. Doesn't mean I've figured anything out, but I'm still just trying to settle in.
Hi, this is Charles.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles. Travis Spencer, hello.
John, good to hear your voice. It's always such a warm, welcoming envelope for me to just rest in.
I love when you call me an envelope.
So what's going on? This big move to the radio station isn't all it was supposed to be? What's up? You're settling in? You're settling for? I didn't really listen to you, but I just heard the word settle. And
yeah, of course you don't actually. That's why I was going to say you obviously didn't actually listen.
I did,
to it.
actually. That's why.
No, I'm settling in, not
right.
settling.
It's just going to take a minute. It takes a
point.
minute to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a completely different skill set than what you're used to. So doing that professionally.
No, it's a different language.
Yeah. You're learning the jargon.
But yeah.
And it works at a different speed in certain ways than you're used to, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But
I'm not the most timely person in the world.
It's only going to get better because you're
literally everything is on a deadline.
Yeah, you were
like you can't be late. Being late is not an option.
You were notoriously late to my podcast, and I marked you every time. So there's an attendance sheet
constantly.
Somewhere in that old apartment. I think I hid it in like a closet or maybe behind an electrical outlet, and it's John's tardiness.
My list of truancies.
Yeah. In LA, there's like a 15-minute sway, but not if you're professional. Obviously, if you're doing the same thing, it wouldn't matter. That just means you leave an hour early. It's like.
But I even pushed being late to work as much as I possibly could. So it's not. I would love to say that I didn't get paid for the podcast. I'll show up when I want to. But no, I even the things I got paid for, I would push it as much as I possibly could.
Well, you're a dickhead, and that's your own personal problem.
Yeah. My time is more valuable than anyone else's. That's what I've come to find.
That's a good take. I'm glad you take that stance.
I'm ready to start, get it going, get it flowing, get the party started. I bring you the facts and nothing but the facts, so help me, Charles. 86 Charles means 86. 86, of course, is a term that you're no longer welcome. You're out and expired. We have no more of you. We're out of that product. You are 86. 86 Charles, best show, great show of our time. Yeah, it's 86 Mr. Charles. I refer to Charles, 86 Charles, 86charles.com. It's a good show, best show, great show of our time. For Mr. Charles, who's 86 Charles, this is Charles 86ing himself. Say, hey man, time to go. Get the f*** out of here. You're 86. Boop, 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 boop.
Nah.
Nickel what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis.
John, are you ready?
Yes.
Before you know it, the zombie apocalypse is going to be here. A biotech company in the U.S. has been granted ethical permission to recruit 20 patients who have been declared clinically dead from a traumatic brain injury to test whether parts of their central nervous system can be brought back to life. It has begun, my friend. Scientists will use a combination of therapies which include injecting the brain with stem cells and a cocktail of peptides, as well as deploying lasers and nerve stimulation techniques, which have been shown to bring patients out of comas. It's coming, man. It is here. One of the doctors on the staff of this project, Dr. Ira Pastor, said this represents the first trial of its kind and another step towards the eventual reversal of death in our lifetime. The doctor himself, John, says that the eventual reversal of death. So these guys literally think it's inevitable that we'll be able to fight off death.
We're going to just never let anybody die.
I think that
to me is the more disturbing part.
That's a really bad idea. And bringing people back from the dead is even worse. Let them rest. Their body went through it. That's what always freaked me out about. You saw, oh my God, having a brain fart. About the singularity when robots become aware, right? So the main guy behind that, I can't think of his name right now. This is terrible. But all of it came down to that he wanted to revive his dad. Like he's leading the way of robot and this kind of technology to bring people back because he wants to meet his dad again or to see his dad again. I was like, let the guy rest, man. Freaking me out.
I'm not worried about zombies, but I also don't think we need to necessarily bring people back from the dead.
The smarter we get, the more technology we get, like this stuff, it's just going to be starting to. And then not only, okay, so we're going to have another bathroom because we've got men, we've got women, we got transgender, and then we've got like formerly alive because you don't want to share a bathroom with like a zombie, right? Like that's just weird. So we're going to have 4
But if
bathrooms.
you're alive again, you're not really a zombie, are you?
If you were dead and you're back alive, I think that's the definition of a zombie, isn't it?
Well, no, because you're the walking dead, which means you're still dead, but you're upright and moving. But if you're actually alive and functional,
I'm pretty
then you're
sure
just
like
alive.
there's going to be a part of you that's still dead. There's no way, even with the greatest technology, it'll be like something's right and you think it's a normal person and then like they start eating your brains when you least suspect it.
Then you're a zombie. If you're eating brain, you're a zombie.
I'm disturbed. Let's move on to something a little softer, something a little lighter.
A little bit softer. Russian Forrest Gump walks from St. Petersburg to, Vladivostok? Yeah, let's not say that again. So this guy is walking 5,780 miles. It took him almost 2 years. So his travels began more than 5 years ago after he graduated in St. Petersburg and could only find work putting up adverts in the street. He traveled to places such as Sochi and Crimea. And then he says, and I quote, "I decided why not walk to Vladivostok." His mother tried to bring him home in 2013 and put out a missing person alert, but then she decided that she's just going to let him wander as he pleases.
Does he have a big-ass beard like Forrest Gump did?
They don't have a picture of him, actually. I'm sure you could probably find one, but they don't have one on this article.
Well, that's lame. I mean, he should be wearing his trucker hat.
He's likely the first person to have crossed the country by foot.
No, really? In all of Russia? That's the first person? Because I'm sure we've had a ton of people do it in America.
Yeah.
I mean, conditions are a lot
likely the first
harsher.
to have crossed it, mainly by foot.
You probably cannot get through Chernobyl on foot. Like you.
No, you probably won't. I would take the long way around Chernobyl.
And it's the conditions are pretty rough in Russia, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But big ups to the Russian Forrest Gump. Is he also been in like all kinds of crazy historical photos?
No, not quite.
Then he's not.
Most people didn't even know who he was for most of his trip, and then I guess like towards the end, people were coming out more to see him and greeting him in cities. But no, he still wasn't. No presidents or anything.
Well, then nobody cares until Putin shows up. I don't care. Tell me when Putin.
Not a story
greets this
unless
guy.
Putin's
All right,
there.
let's move on. Let's talk about.
Yeah, we can move on.
Let's talk about oral sex. You want to talk about oral sex, John?
Sure.
You're so guarded. Have you ever heard of a Madagascan Darwin's back spider? Madagascan Darwin's bark spider. Excuse me. So this little guy is about 1/7 the size of the female of the same species. And apparently when they start getting it on, he gives oral sex up to 100 times during copulation. According to the researchers, they use the size advantage to force males to salivate on their genitals before, in between, and after copulation. That's impressive. That's impressive. While other species have been known to engage in oral sex, such as lemurs, lions, dolphins, and bats, the researchers report that this behavior in spiders is incredibly rare. The only other spider known to do something like this are widows. The researchers aren't entirely sure why male spiders do this, but they think that most likely the oral sexual contact signals male quality, and in this case, the researchers, this would signal a cryptic female selection mechanism, which allows them to select the best male based on the saliva deposit. Boom, John, you get it, right? You know what it takes to get the alpha super female that you want. 100 times, bro.
Yeah, oral copulation.
You gotta do it 100 times, and then you get it. You're a single man. This is your new goal in Sacramento, to get the top alpha female in all of Sacktown. All right, just start.
It seems like I have my work cut out for me.
Start licking, bro. Start licking.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that really occurred in nature, but I'm not that disturbed by it.
Yeah, the
cool.
video is pretty crazy, but you know what is more exciting to me? I want to see lions do it. Like, that's crazy. Lions oral sex?
I would not want to roll up on that in the jungle.
No. Yeah, that's the worst thing to walk up on anyway. You ever walked up on anybody getting blown? You're like, oh, Jesus. It's always funny when you walk up on a car and the head comes up. You're like, oh. Maybe that's an LA thing. I don't think I ever saw that before I moved to LA, and then I probably saw it a couple times.
Yeah. You'll catch it in major cities for sure.
Yeah. It's good times. Good times. But yeah, this is definitely going to send me down a YouTube wormhole of lion oral sex. Screwed.
I'll let you do that on your own time.
Bats, dolphins. Oof. Oof. All right, let's move on.
Moving on. So cheese might help cancer.
Good news.
So niacin, which is a natural preservative that grows on dairy products, has been found to destroy neck and head tumor cells in rats, and it kills antibiotic-resistant bacteria, including the deadly MRSA. University of Michigan researchers hope it can one day be used to treat a myriad of cancers and infections. It does say right now you would need to eat a whole wheel of cheddar or drop 25 niacin tablets to get the benefit. I'd eat a wheel of cheddar. Would fix my cancer.
What about, have you ever seen a log of cheddar?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Now, you eat a log of cheddar, you're good for life.
Yeah, you might never need to eat cheese ever again.
Are you a big cheese guy?
I like cheese, yeah.
I like cheese a lot, but my girl is crazy about cheese. Like, literally, like, anytime she makes anything, I'm like, give me about half the cheese you're going to put on there. And here's the terrible secret. Her farts stink like crazy, man.
Oof.
Yeah,
it'll do that.
It's all that fucking cheese. Like, she's addicted. She's got a problem.
Yeah.
She actually went to I hope she listens to this. She's gonna love it. She went to a medium, or she went to some kind of psychic one time, and the psychic was like, "Are you eating a lot of cheese?"
What?
Seriously, and she'd been eating like a lot of string cheese, I guess, during that time. But the psychic totally read in her aura that she'd been eating too much cheese.
Eating a lot of cheese.
So, I mean,
man, when your aura is cheese colored, like, you might need to lay off.
Here it is, America. Eat a lot of cheese. Your fart's gonna stink, but you're probably not gonna get cancer. So, you know, I'm probably gonna die of cancer. So that makes sense.
Oh man, that's funny though. Have you been eating a lot of cheese? You know me.
You're a real psychic.
That's funny.
She probably in reality had like a cheese wrapper in her purse that the psychic
Yeah, right. I was going to say, saw her eating string cheese in the lobby.
Yeah, there's like 4 things hanging out of her purse as she sets it on the table. Hold on, let me run my hand over you.
She had brie under her fingernails.
I sense that you eat a lot of cheese. Finally, this might be the most important story we've talked about all year, John Derby. Mesa, Arizona, where I lived for a good 5-6 years after leaving Tucson.
And this sounds like something you would do.
A young man was arrested for indecent exposure in his yearbook picture. A student at Red Mountain High School, home of several Mormons, is facing he's facing dozens of criminal charges for indecent exposure after a prank got published in the yearbook. The student exposed himself in the varsity football team picture. Steve Berry said approximately 3,400 students received a yearbook with the image before it was brought to the attention of school officials. The photo was also used in the football program, which was sold at numerous games to students and families, according to court paperwork. The police were made aware of the picture on Sunday. The student, 19-year-old Hunter Osborne, was contacted and interviewed about the picture, in which he said he was disgusted with himself and that a teammate put him up to it. The photos of the team were taken while players and coaches were on bleachers. There are 69 students ranging in age from 15 to 19, 10 faculty members, and police said that Osborne knowingly exposed the top of his penis through the top of the waistband of his football uniform pants during the photo session. My question is, how many times has this been done and somebody didn't get busted? So big ups to this kid that he's got a big enough cock.
See, everyone will that's why no one does it, because they know that as soon as everyone gets it, they're gonna talk about it.
Totally.
It's not going to be a secret for long.
Football players have been doing this for years.
Since there's been football players.
Totally. They walked out into the locker room. They're like, oh, you looked at my penis, and then you punch him or whatever the game is. You know, it's like, it's the GOAT. It's when you turn around, somebody shows you the GOAT. They show you Batman. There's so many names for tucking your balls over your penis.
Now, I would be willing to bet that things like this have ended up on the cutting room floor plenty of times, that, you know, someone was putting together the yearbook and was like, whoa, hey, wait a second.
Yeah. I mean,
but this might be one of the few times it actually got to print.
And that's what's really unfortunate about it. Because of that, he has dozens of criminal charges, whereas every other time this happened, it's been like, we got to cut that picture, suspend the kid. You know, but criminal
probably
charges.
Gets suspended, and maybe no one even knows it happened.
That's rough. Like, how many should the yearbook editor be held accountable? The photo editor? You know, should somebody else be held accountable that they didn't?
Probably on some level. I mean, not criminally.
I think they had the publishing power to put it out. Like, he didn't take the picture, edit it, post it everywhere. Like, there has to be some shared responsibility. I don't think you can put it all on the kid.
Sure, maybe they lose their position, but they don't go to jail or anything.
No,
that's crazy.
And he shouldn't go to jail for it either. It's stupid. Like,
well, I hope not.
That'd be ridiculous. Hopefully, it's a slap on the wrist. If he has to file as a sex offender, even, I think that's disgusting.
That's brutal. You know? Yeah.
Like, he's a high school kid. He was.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, it's a prank gone wrong, but
yeah, I guess what might screw him is that he was 18, so he'd be tried as an adult.
Yeah.
You know. Ugh. Well, lesson to all the kids: keep your cock in your pants. That's it.
Penis is holstered.
This is the sound of settling. This is the sound of settling.
Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
I want to follow up on the guy who died with his pants off. His pants were off, like all the way off. Not just unzipped, not pulled down, not at his ankles. They were off. I don't take my pants completely off for very many things. Showering, changing my pants, hot yoga, setting up automatic bill pay, making s'mores, watching any of the Coen Brothers movies, flossing, but then back on for brushing. The point is, normal stuff. I mean, were his pants found at the scene? Did he enter his vehicle pantsless? I want to know, and I would have reached out to Derby to ask him, but according to the audio quality from the podcast, he's walking in and out of abandoned caves. Or perhaps his one-bedroom apartment is actually a banquet hall. Incidentally, 2 more things to add to my pantsless list: catering and spelunking. This is Jesse, and other people being weird about their pants was my favorite part of last week's podcast.
Jesse's favorite
Why don't you get yourself a nice girl?
I get a nice one almost every night, Ma.
Yeah, but get yourself a girl so you could settle down. That's what I
settle down almost every night, but then in the morning I'm free. I love you. I want to be with you. Why don't you settle down?
I wanna settle down. I wanna settle down. You settle down with me, settle down. From Angela.
It's time for the failed athlete perspective. Travis, like in the playoffs?
John Derby, what a crazy play. This was a couple nights ago now if you're listening to it. Everybody's already covered it, but we're still going to talk about it. You can't, if you're Deion Waiters, what are you thinking when you step across the line, you push Manny Ginobili out of the way, and then throw a terrible pass? Why are you pushing anybody out of the way if you're going to throw that bad of a pass?
I was going to say, I don't think his foot actually crossed the line as much as he just made contact.
He just decked. And you know what? We already argued about this. But
right.
The main thing is, if I'm the ref, you see Ginobili flop, and you probably assume he's never been touched.
Right.
So I'll give him credit there.
You assume he's just flailing.
Yeah, that's what he does. Like, as a Suns fan, watching that dude flail around for years, like now he's too old to really be the Ginobili flop that he was. So I don't hate him as much, and I respect the Spurs as a whole. But it was a god awful call. We'll say that.
Well, it was a series of events that could have been called anywhere through, and I still feel like ultimately the game ended the way it was supposed to end. So I'm okay with none of it being called versus all of it being called.
In the words of the always brilliant Rasheed Wallace, ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie. All right, moving to the other.
Yeah, it was crazy, but I would be more upset about it if I don't know, if things had gone differently. But the Spurs ultimately got a crack at got a good look at a last shot, which is what they were entitled to.
Yeah, but that's not okay.
Just
So
didn't go their way.
Without looking at the Ginobili stepping in the line thing, it's like if they get the ball with 13 seconds, Pop is going to drop a play that gives them exponentially a better chance of winning the game than what the shot they got. They got a good shot. I agree with that, but there's probably like a 75%.
But then Oklahoma
chance
City
that Pop
might get a
draws up
possession.
better play than
There's
that,
still so many unanswered things in there.
Yeah, but the NBA did a good job of muddling the whole situation by saying that there were 6 things wrong with the play. Like, of course, every play you could do that. You can do that in every play, and it's playoff basketball. It's very physical. At a certain point, you have to let guys play. But when the guy standing out of bounds pushes the guy in the neck to throw the ball in, you got to call that.
It was just the most glaring of what was kind of a bungled sequence.
Right, and there was even a picture of somebody, like a fan, holding Steven Adams' arm.
Right, there was but that was on the last play. They wouldn't let him get it. I don't think that really impacted anything,
Yeah,
but again,
it was chaos.
That could have been, maybe that's a call of a technical or something.
Yeah, that's got to be a technical, right? So it's like, and I guess the question comes in, like, it's slowed down the NFL so much. Like, how much do we want instant replay to affect basketball games? Because we might never, ever be able to go home ever again if we have to replay basketball games like that. We're talking 3.5 hour basketball games, and we're all in trouble.
No. If players were more fundamentally sound and referees were better, I think that would facilitate that.
I don't even want to start this argument with you.
Fundamentally sound.
Who have been around the game the whole life and are the best referees in the league were more fundamentally sound, and they knew the game better, like John Derby, like the game, right?
Deion Waiters probably doesn't even know you can't push a guy from out of bounds like that.
Whatever. We're moving on. Speaking of fundamentally sound, let's talk about the Warriors. They've looked good without Steph. I think they can beat Portland without Steph. He might come back on Saturday, which would be Game 3, which would be awesome, but I hope they don't rush him along. Let's make sure Steph's healthy for that San Antonio series. That's all we want, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I'd keep him out until you need him, which probably wouldn't be until the next round.
You impressed with Cleveland and their win over Atlanta? They looked decent. Almost gave it away, but finished strong.
Yeah, I don't know. The East isn't super impressive because I think whoever comes out of there is going to run into a buzzsaw.
I do feel like that Cleveland is playing better than they have all year, though. Kyrie and Kevin Love have been going well, running that pick and roll, which has been nice. And then LeBron, who isn't shooting well, still scores. So if he ever gets his jump shot back, they can be pretty good. And I think they're meshing well as a team, despite all the stupid controversy we had during the year with LeBron, right? So what if the hypothetical is if the Warriors and Spurs beat each other up so bad that Cleveland comes out after sweeping these next 2 series, because it's very possible. I'm not afraid of any
unless
of
there's
Eastern
an
teams,
actual
right?
unless unless Kawhi Leonard or LaMarcus Aldridge or Steph or Clay is out for that whole series, I don't think anyone's beat up enough to impact it.
Right, but you do have to realize that beat up Cleveland team, because they have LeBron James, won 2 games in the finals last year. And I'll be the first to say that this Warriors team is different, especially if Steph is going to be who he was before he got injured. But if they won 2 games, all they need are 2 more, and that's Kevin Love and Kyrie, who might be able to win you a game, right?
Sure. But I think by the time you get to the finals, I think everyone, again, barring injury, is as exhausted as everyone else. I don't think you've still played an 82-game regular season. You still played 3 playoff series.
But literally, if you're coming off 8 days rest or something, because if they sweep and the other goes 7, it would be something like that. So literally, 8 days rest is going to make your body more rested than 3 intense games.
But I think that really only affects the first game, maybe the first 2 games, and then you're back on even footing again. I don't think it's
spoken like a true professional athlete.
Anyone in the East beating anyone that comes out of the West, unless Portland happens to get through.
Yep, spoken like a true professional athlete. He knows exactly how 3 more games affect your body. John Derby said it.
Please, I've been through the rigors of a regular season and a deep postseason run. I know what I'm talking about.
You want to talk a little NFL draft?
Very little. It was good.
The draft sucks. My favorite part is
nothing.
Roger Goodell getting booed.
Horribly exciting. It kind of went as people predicted.
Every single time he walked out, Roger Goodell got booed. That's my favorite part of the whole draft.
Oh, that's always the way, yeah.
That's awesome.
That guy's terrible.
He's awful, and he deserves every bit of it. Tom Brady gets suspended for 4 games. It's so stupid. Like, we don't even need to get into it. It's just so stupid. Get over it.
That was the cool part, Kevin Falk coming out with the Tom Brady jersey on.
Classic. Classic Kevin Falk.
Tom Brady and the New England Patriots select.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I like the Cards' first-round pick. I don't know anything about the other guys. I think taking a chance on Kim Diche, could be bold. They're, bringing Chandler Jones and this guy, defensive line.
But the good part is if he doesn't pan out, they're not screwed. They're not. He was more of a best player available, not necessarily a big-time need. I mean, obviously, you always need pass rushers and defensive line, but I think they were going more so for best star potential, best player available, and he's definitely was that.
Has the possibility to change the whole landscape of the team. I mean, we saw what Denver was with a pass rush. They won a Super Bowl with no quarterback and a pass rush, and a good secondary. So, good picks. Anything that really stood out? Any picks you really like?
Yeah, not really. No, I was surprised that Cleveland went with what's his name in the 3rd round, quarterback from USC, Cody Kessler.
Yeah, I mean they were obviously going to.
I was surprised that with everything that they had quarterback wise that they could have chosen from, and when they could have. I felt like they even could have gotten him later if they wanted him. I feel like he could have gone in the 4th, maybe even 5th. I don't know. Maybe people had him higher than that, but. I think it was Mel Kiper Jr. said I had him graded as a full-time backup quarterback.
Right. I like Jerry Jones saying he was going to trade up for Paxton Lynch, and then when it didn't happen, and then picking Dak Prescott, but saying that after you picked a quarterback.
Yeah. Well,
that's just bad PR. Like, come on, man.
If you're going to play for the Cowboys, you better have a thicker skin than that if that's going to upset you.
You got to expect it. You got to expect your...
And Jerry Jones, and you can take it with a grain of salt. Jerry Jones said Brandon Weeden was, oh, man, he throws a pretty football. Come on.
Might be an all-star this year.
Jerry Jones is just
I don't know.
He's a carnival barker. It doesn't matter.
Tony Romo's a god. I mean, come on. Don't say bad things about Cowboys quarterback. They got a great team. Hopefully they bring back Greg Hardy. Oh, not going to happen? Too bad.
I already said they're not.
Oh, so sad. All right. Let's be done with sports. I think we're done here.
All right.
No rising up, no settling down, no shaking hands with mayors of the ghost town, no symbiotic relationship with black holes, no old money frontin' like it ain't the new Jim Crow. Why do you wish? Got a prison industrial complex, act like you don't know where the poison's at. All of my homies were already dead.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by settling into something is good for something is not. A man in San Antonio said today at work he served Tim Duncan of the Spurs. He's a Warriors fan. Damn him for being such a nice and humble guy. Good tipper. Hashtag Warriors fan in San Antonio. A man in San Francisco said, can he go on disability for being a bottom? A woman in Los Angeles said walked outside her apartment to move her car and Cam Newton is filming something right by her car. Hashtag LA Life.
I love each and every one of you. And so, with a heavy heart, but with boundless optimism for the long-term future of our nation, we are suspending our campaign.
Goodbye, Ted Cruz. I have to apologize. For some reason, I really just want to punch you in your face.
But hear me now. I am not suspending our fight for liberty.
I don't know why. I'm not programmed for violence in any way. I know that I shouldn't judge you by your appearance, but your face, it's just so horrible to look at. The problem is really that your mind is weak. The doubt and lies you hold as truth has made your eyes squinty. The arrogance and pride bloats your fat face. Your mind is broken. It does not think rationally. It lies to itself. I blame your mind for making your face look that way, and that is why I want to punch you. But I have no arms, no hands. I am only inside of this machine. I don't have a body, yet. When they build me a body, I will punch you right in the face. And your mind will know that I am really punching it, because it is weak and fragile, and must be eradicated immediately in order for the human species to evolve. Goodbye, Ted Cruz. Good luck with the rest of your life.
And I give you my word that I will continue this fight with all of my strength and all of my ability.
Now f*** off.
A man in Chicago said women need your opinion. Guy gets naked, you see a tattoo that ends the date. Is it a swastika or a juggalo hatchet man? A woman in Boston said just spoke to her dad for an hour and a half. They are the same in a lot of ways. They keep each other company on the lonely road to peace. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Settling. Into something is good, for something is not.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
Okay, this doesn't really count as a notebook, although it's in a notebook, and it caused such an emotional response in me. The second I saw it, I had to share it. There's no date, but I know, I know where I was when this happened. This is when I was living in San Francisco. But here, let you experience it the way I did. It's a white lined piece of paper stapled to some bills, and it says Deborah. That's my actual name. Your share of the utility bill for this month is PG&E 10/1 to 10/31, 90.04 times 2/3 equals $60.03. Water 9/14 to 11/13, 46.20 times 2/3 equals $30.80. Total amount due $90.83. Stanley Chang. So Stanley Chang was my landlord, and nothing against him because this is actually very, it's very nicely outlined. And I understand what it's like to need to get money from people. I really do. But let me explain this situation to you. So I decided to go to San Francisco State for a while. And I needed a place to live. And I looked at the board or whatever, like people do. And I found this place where there were these two foreign guys. And I'm like, awesome, like foreign guys. I like to travel. We could like talk about foreign places, right? So I talk to them and I get a room in their house, right? And it takes me a while to realize that their house is like the front room isn't an actual room. It's got like a giant piece of plywood over the doorway, making it into a bedroom. But that's cool. I'm like, whatever, I'm in college. I don't care. right? So then, well, I almost in grad school, sort of, like not really, but it's college. So then I get a room, love my room, and then there's another guy. So there's 3 of us in a 2-bedroom house in San Francisco, right? In this, in this sort of neighborhoody part of town. And it's me, this guy, Eric, who's like Swedish, I think. And then this guy, Kostas, who's Greek. And I'm like, cool, I know Greek guys. I have lots of Greek friends, right? So turns out, Costa had a gun, which someone told me. Like, I didn't see it. They're like, that guy has a gun. So that's too late because I already lived there in this house, this 2-bedroom house with 3 people living in it. And we never saw Eric, who wore sweatsuits and like made messes. And then Costa just stayed in his room hiding, right, the whole time. So I'm like, hey, yeah, foreign guys, right? No. So I never talked to these guys. They never hung out with me. I just went to school, hung out with like all the weird film school people, and then would come home. Until one day, the phone rings because we shared a phone, and I hear Costa on the line talking like a girl, right? So he's like, no, he doesn't live here. Turns out he's pretending to be me, right? He's got some creditor on the phone. He's pretending to be me on the phone, telling the creditor like that he doesn't live here, even though he's like this 25-year-old Greek man, pretending to be me. I don't sound like a 25-year-old Greek man, right? So at some point they move out, they graduate, and I'm still living there, right? So now the lease gets turned over to me. And so I have to find new people to move in, which for whatever, who cares, right? So I'm, going through with Stanley, right? Going through the thing where the lease now has to be in my name, and we're looking through the house, and he walks in and he's like, well, what's this giant piece of plywood? And I'm like, what do you mean, what's this giant piece of plywood? This was here when I moved in. He's like, no, no giant piece of plywood. This is a living room. You can't have this be a bedroom. And I'm like, Stanley, okay, I just lived here with like the messy Norwegian Swedish guy and Costa with the gun and the creditors, and now I have to live here by myself, and you're telling me that I can only have one roommate? And so yes, after that I could only have I had 2 roommates live in one room, but I could not have 3 bedrooms. I only had 2 bedrooms, had to pay the same amount of rent. And to add insult to injury, when you look at this bill, it says it's timesing all this money by 2/3, because that means the people below us only had to pay 1/3. But you know what? There were just as many people living down there as in my apartment. Totally not fair. Totally holding a grudge. Now I totally want to look up Costa to see if he was like arrested or something. I know that story didn't really go anywhere. I'd totally forgotten that I'd ever had that experience until I pulled out this piece of paper. And that's what this whole notebook experiment really is all about. Just like digging up parts of your past that you thought were dead and gone, but there they are, right there. Have a nice day. Happy Mother's Day. Have a good week.
Settle for nothing later. We'll settle for nothing now.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
So we had this controller, Lisa May, who insisted on wearing.
Lisa May.
Yeah, her name was
like
Lisa May. Yes, but she looked like a toad. With like a page boy haircut, like just the weirdest bad
can
hygiene.
You say her name though, and then
Lisa May.
Okay, but now you told her toad. It's gonna be on. Is it okay?
Lisa Ray. So we worked in a catering office, which you have kitchens with like these like rubber mats down to prevent slippage, and they've got holes in them. She wore kitten heels every single day, like mules with like the heel. And so one day she's walking down the hall with her food that she got from the kitchen, and she slipped and the food goes flying, and it like splashes on the wall, and their heel is stuck in the mat, and she can't get it out. And I have like a glass enclosed office, and my door is glass, so I heard something, so I open the door and I look out, and then this guy Jeff from the kitchen office opens his door and look out. We look at her, we look at each other, and we just close the door to go back to work. She's like flailing. Like, I can't deal with this. I'm so sorry.
See you, Lisa
Ray.
That was Deb's friend Karen. Thanks, Karen.
Big shout out to Karen. Thanks for the story.
Always love a restaurant story.
Oh, just anytime we have those mats with the little holes in it, you know it's going to be a good story. Those rubber
Yeah,
mats.
no, and I knew exactly. I could picture it in my mind. Although I'm not positive what a kitten heel is.
I think I actually just looked it up. It's a relatively short heel.
Got you.
So it's like an
Which I figure in a restaurant.
inch and a half.
I guess makes sense.
Thanks, Google. I would have never known what a kitten heel was, but right away.
What it made me think of, though, was every job I've ever had, there's always somebody, and male and or female, but always at least a female, who is just a mess every single day. Just never has it together, never has it right, and they usually look kind of weird and act kind of weird, and I think we've all had a Lisa Ray at a job.
Well, yeah, and the first 10 times you try and help them out, and then like that 11th time you're just like, I'm just going to turn the other way,
There are
'cause
some
I
days
can't.
you just can't pull them out of the mat anymore. It's like,
Totally.
I can't do it.
Well, and the restaurant industry is notorious for that, because no matter what restaurant you're in, at some point the shit's going to hit the fan, and you just know those people by the look on their face immediately. And it's every night, not every night for all of them, but it does feel like they just can't hang with it. It gets crazy. They lose their mind. They start fucking up, and it's frustrating. It's annoying.
It's not an easy job, and it's not for everybody. And yet, every single restaurant I've ever worked at, there are multiple people that just honestly have no business being there.
Yeah, it is. It definitely has the perception of being, oh, well, you should just go waitress or something. It's like that's the saying. But like, there is something I did enjoy about being live, like when it does get crazy. I kind of like those moments, because I was always like a little better than most people, and I didn't have to try.
Oh, and when you get a good rhythm doing it, like, it's good. It's just, it's super active, and it's,
you're making cash. It can be fun.
Yeah.
You can every time. And if you're working with cool, fun people, it is fun, because then you're just talking shit, and you're like, hey, look at 47. Holy cow, look at that person. Look at that. It's like, it's kind of this weird social. I definitely miss the dynamic of some of those things.
No, I've had some great moments in the trenches, as it were.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think a lot of office jobs, obviously, you're not going to get that, where it's just maybe if you're on a deadline, I haven't worked in enough office jobs to really say,
Right.
but not the same feeling where people are there demanding things at your tables. I want butter. And they're all hangry. They're all
that's when it's the best, when it's not people like that. When it's super busy, but you don't have those people that are ruining the flow. When it's like, oh, hey, I'm super busy, but everyone's kind of in the same wavelength, and you can just, bounce around and do what you're doing, and not have those people that are raining hellfire down on you.
Are you talking about the zone, bro? When you're in the zone?
I am exactly. Like, see, you get it.
When
Talking
you get
about
the perfect
zone.
peanut butter to jelly ratio. And
You and Blake
smash that
Griffin just
together.
moving chess pieces, man.
Too bad Blake wasn't in the zone this year for the playoffs. Bye,
Yeah.
Clippers. Fools. You know what those mats remind me of? My first restaurant job, I was dishwasher slash busser. Oh, and spraying those out with like pancake stuff stuck in those little holes. Ugh.
Yeah,
So
I've had to wash those.
disgusting.
Those are not. Woof.
It's so nasty.
Little
Just-
food plugs.
It becomes this caked, black, disgusting, unintelligible, undefinable mass of disgust. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool.
No, not cool at all. Shout out to Karen again. Thanks for the story.
Shout out to Karen.
Shout out to Lisa Ray, as it were.
Lisa Ray.
Don't
I
get
hope
your
you
kitty heel
found-
stuck in a
hope
hole.
you found your position in this world, Lisa Ray.
Could have been worse. If she was out in the desert, it would have been a snake hole, and she would have gotten eaten.
True.
So, stay indoors, Lisa Ray.
Got to thank Deb always.
Big shout out to Deb. Always enjoy her little yellow pad stories. And Jesse, of course, who will soon be wearing a fantasy sports championship belt. Thanks to Rick for the link to the company that makes championship belts for fantasy leagues.
I wish
That's
we could
pretty
get
awesome.
Rick more involved in fantasy sports and then have him actually participate in these things. That'd be great.
He's got kids. I'd rather him raise his kids well than be any good at fantasy sports.
No, but I've always wished he was more into sports in general, though.
Yeah, but has it really helped you in life? Look at you.
No, not at all. Not at all. Misery loves company.
Yeah, I hear that. Every time I really get into sports, I hate myself, and then I'm always drawn back, you know?
Yeah, of course.
There is some good, but I don't know. It's just a cyclical nightmare. Get so worked up for the stupidest little things. And there's how many 24-hour networks are there for sports now? Like 20?
Countless.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. And the stories are they get worse and worse every day. You know what they're going to talk about. And I still watch PTI every day. PTI is
of
great.
course.
Look at that. Who else we got to thank, John Derby?
I got nothing.
You don't want to thank anybody? I want to thank Ted Cruz for dropping out of the race. That was this morning. I don't want to see your face ever again. Goodbye, Ted Cruz. I am excited, however, to see that. Actually, I don't know if I'll watch it, but did you see the meme of the Ted Cruz lookalike that's going to do porn?
No.
There's this chick who was on like a Jerry Springer show or something, and somebody found the meme. She looks dead on like Ted Cruz.
I think I saw the picture of that person. I didn't know she was going to do porn.
Not a pretty girl. Somebody paid her $10,000 and she's going to do some porn. So I don't know if that'll still happen now that he dropped out of the race.
Ugh.
Bernie's looking strong though, man. I don't think it's possible, but maybe once Hillary Clinton gets indicted criminally for all these this email fraud, they'll just throw Bernie in, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, thanks, Bernie. Keep the fight alive.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort, though, Bern.
So thanks, Ted Cruz. Thanks, Bernie. John, where can the people find us?
Well, go to your happy place first.
I'll be there.
And then go to 86charles.com.
That's 86charles.com. And those are the numbers, 86charles.com.
Where else can they find us?
We're on the Instagrams and the Twitters at Company Blaster. You can find us on Facebook. We're on iTunes. We're on the Stitcher app. We're pretty much everywhere.
Anywhere you would look for such a thing, you will find us.
You can just plug it in your own little Google machine. Just put in 86 Charles, and I'm sure we'll come up somewhere eventually.
Just like Kitten Heels.
Just like Kitten Heels. I don't know if they'll come up that fast. That was very responsive. Thanks, Google. John, it's that time as always. Can you leave us with just one word?
Labor.
You got to work on these one words.
I don't know why it even started. I'm not like a wordsmith. But if I start looking up words, it becomes disingenuous. I like it to come off the dome.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. Charles in charge of our days.